All of us know that in Invincible, no one is truly... So here's Every Death in Invincible, from civilians to main characters alike, and we have someone truly unforgettable starting this list. In the pilot episode, Biplane is thrown into space by Immortal, and he's seen again later in episode 4, where we can see his corpse when Mark goes to space. But okay, speaking of someone actually unforgettable, next up are the Guardians of the Globe, Earth's mightiest heroes. All of them were killed by Omni-Man, who began his onslaught by first killing the fastest one of the bunch, Red Rush. His skull was crushed together with Omni-Man's bare hands. Then, Omni-Man placed his sight on Darkwing, whose brain exploded when Omni-Man smashed him to the ground. Right after that, it was Green Ghost, who died when Omni-Man punched through her face. Omni-Man's next victim was King Aquarius. Grabbing War Woman's mace, Omni-Man used it to bash Aquarius' face in. After that, it seemed like Martian Man, War Woman, and Immortal might be able to take him out, but just when they thought they had a grip on the situation, Omni-Man found and ripped out Martian Man's brain. Next on the grim agenda of Omni-Man was War Woman. In a swift and merciless move, Omni-Man delivered a devastating blow that resulted in her neck being snapped with a sickening crack. And as a gruesome end to the Guardians of the Globe, we have to talk about the tragic fate of the Immortal, who was brutally decapitated by Omni-Man.
Why?
But moving on, let's talk about the peak of Invincible violence, a scene that has become infamous among fans for its sheer brutality and shock value, the ketchup scene. Okay, seriously speaking, civilians have probably suffered the most in Invincible. And we see that just starting with episode 2, where the Flaxen decided to attack Earth. Mark and the Guardians of the Globe rushed to the scene, but not before the death of this nameless police officer. After that, we have a few shots showing the violence, and then the entire first battle. After the dust has settled, we saw that 338 civilians had died in the battle, not counting the police officer I mentioned earlier. The Flaxens didn't go unharmed during the battle either, with 3 of them meeting their end at the hands of Robot, Duplicate, and Eve. Though the team didn't know it at the time, Flaxens have a different time stream than the one on Earth. A few minutes is worth years to them. And so, as the battle went on for longer than their lifespans, 23 Flaxen died due to old age, ending the first battle. But the Flaxens didn't give up. In 3 days, which is equal to decades for them, they came back. With the start of another battle, the civilian death toll went up by 6. Getting overwhelmed with trying to defend civilians, Eve obliterated 36 Flaxens in an impressive counterattack. And soon after that, the team figured out that the wristbands were keeping the Flaxens alive. So they began targeting the wristbands, and this led to 16 more Flaxens dying of old age. Thinking the third time will be the charm, the Flaxens came back to Earth. Again, the civilian death toll goes up by 3 more. But what they didn't know was that the strongest man on Earth was fully healed now. And when Omni-Man finally arrived on the scene, he dragged the army back to their planet, where the Flaxen leader met his end. He doesn't stop there. Going on to completely obliterate the Flaxen world, he takes the death toll to an impressive 7,800,074,633 Flaxens in that scene alone. Finally putting an end to the Flaxens, we're standing at over 7 billion deaths already. But things don't end here. So let's talk about episode 3. Doc Seismic, the villain with seismic powered bracelets, wanted to destroy Mount Rushmore. To the world, the monument was a symbol of democracy, but to him, it was a symbol of hypocrisy. He met his alleged death after fighting Invincible and Adam Eve. The GDA was always trying to devise ways to kill Omni-Man. When Cecil sent the 2 heroes to fight Doc Seismic, he mentioned that Omni-Man was fighting Kaiju 10 time zones away.
I wouldn't be asking for your help, but Omni-Man is dealing with a Kaiju 10 time zones away.
In the next scene, we see Donald measuring if the beast would be a strong defense against Omni-Man, as we are shown the body of Kaiju.
It's big, sir. Really big. First time I've seen Omni-Man on the ropes like that. Also, it might not be dead.
As if the Flaxens weren't enough to cause damage to the civilians, the Maulers take a swing of their own. Staging a prison break, one of the Maulers kill an officer named Pete. The Mauler twins don't lose sleep over their copies. We can see this in the next scene, where one of the Maulers sacrifices his own clone to escape.
Surprised you don't see it. You being the original and all.
He brutally ran towards a laser gun using the other's body as a shield, and somehow managed to survive. Near the start of the next episode, a lizard gets killed by Brian's shoe. Now, Brian's entire shtick is that he's trying to resurrect Kahor. He goes inside this temple to open the tomb of Kahor, where he gets possessed by the spirit. But thankfully, nature itself came to the rescue, dropping the stone door to seal the entrance, trapping him inside. Soon after that, we get the Sequids debut. The Sequids are infamous for the destruction they cause, and we quickly see that 24 aliens are the first victims to be shown. After a lot of stuff where Mark and the astronauts from Earth get captured by Martians, the group decides to make their escape. But later, we see that they have left one astronaut behind, later revealed to be named Russ Livingston. He becomes the host for the Sequids. Even weapons prove useless against these parasitic creatures, with 21 armed Martian men being ripped apart by them. Next up, we have the famous detective, Damien Darkblood.
Darkblood, Demon Detective.
Despite coming very close to solving the Omni-Man mystery, Cecil revived the only book, the Demonius Ex Mortem, that can send Darkblood back to hell. In a dramatic scene, Darkblood is bound by chains and sent back to hell, but not before swearing to meet Cecil there. In the next episode, in Titan's debut scene, 10 gangsters meet their end in his wake. With bullets being able to bounce off of his armor, most die by the very bullets that they shot. But those aren't the only stupid deaths in this episode. The newly formed Guardians of the Globe proved to be way worse than the previous edition. Even though they won their first fight as a team, there were several civilian casualties. A bus of about 50 people is allowed to crash because Rex and Monster Girl were distracted, and a bystander is shot down because Duplicate did not perimeter the area.
This is where you messed up. You and Monster Girl. Both so caught up in your own little prize fights that you let this entire bus of civilians crash.
Invincible trusted Titan, believing that he just wanted to save his family, and went up against Machine Head on his own. When the Guardians of the Globe arrive on the scene, Black Samson and Monster Girl take the hit in a tough battle. Battle Beast smashed Samson's head on the ground, and Monster Girl, in reaction, landed a few punches on Battle Beast, but she proved to be no match for the ruthless Beast as he smashed into Monster Girl's chest. Now, for a second, we thought both of these characters were dead, but as we know, both are revived later.
It's okay. I'm here.
With those two teammates fallen, the team launched an attack, which caused the villains to also take a hit on their team. Furnace is killed by Kate and Kursk by Robot. In the next episode, we are introduced to D.A. Sinclair, a genius student trying to fix the human machine.
I'm not turning people into anything. I'm fixing humanity's weaknesses.
The past 10 victims, the failed Reaniman, are shown next. Still reeling from the battle with Machine Head's beasts, the beaten heroes are taken to the hospital. When trying to help Monster Girl, the hero accidentally smashed a doctor against the wall. Doug, who was the first successful Reaniman, is put into a fight with Invincible. When Invincible removed the control on him, he realized what had become to him. Not wanting to live in his experiment, he impaled himself on a sundial. Rick gets kidnapped by Sinclair, who wants to try again at creating more Reaniman. When Will and Invincible find him, he started helping the other Reaniman beat down Invincible. Will was able to get to Rick. Despite the emotional center of his brain taken out, Rick cries and gets his revenge when he slammed a Reaniman against the wall. The other two Reaniman are next on the toll. Invincible and Rick together take out one Reaniman each. In the next episode, Robot is finally able to have a body of his own, after working together with the Mahler twins. After the transition is complete, the original Robot requests Rudy to kill him according to their plan.
What are you waiting for? This was always the plan.
After both Debbie and the GDA understood that Omni-Man killed the Guardians of the Globe, officers were sent to capture him. Standing no chance against the Viltrumite, the 5 officers were killed in brutal ways by Omni-Man. Moving across the street, Omni-Man finds that Donald had been spying on him. In a moment of sheer loyalty, Donald presses the button on his own destruction. When Omni-Man tries to find Mark, Cecil tries everything to at least slow him down. A powerful laser was fired to buy time, but 2 squirrels, 2 rabbits, and 32 crows were blasted instead of Omni-Man. Reinforcements to slow down Omni-Man add 3 more Reanimen to the list, who did not break a sweat in taking them out. In a moment straight out of God of War, Immortal faces death once again in a flashback. He isn't the only one to face death again. Hail Mary, who was sent to stop Omni-Man, ends up being electrocuted by Invincible. Immortal faces death yet again, though this time in the present, in the hands of Omni-Man. Even though he put up one of the best fights against Omni-Man, he failed after Omni-Man punched through his guts. When Nolan finally explains where he's really from, the first thing he mentioned is the warrior nature of the Viltrumites. In what they called the Great Purge, the Viltrumites fought amongst themselves to kill everyone who was weak. In this war, the population was cut in half, with 187 of them dead. Once that was done with, they began their conquest efforts. In their wake, the Viltrumites left a huge disaster. Of them, 3 Unipans and 3 other aliens are seen. When Invincible refuses to side with Omni-Man and chooses to stand against him, Omni-Man attacks. In a desperate move, Cecil sends fighter jets to assist, but they're quickly caught in the crossfire. Invincible manages to save one pilot from a burning jet, only to watch in horror as Omni-Man kills the man right in front of him, showing how meaningless human life is to him.
You almost killed him!
Instead, you saved him. So much effort. For what?
Continuing to be Invincible down for his education, the death toll for civilian goes up to 87 when Omni-Man drives him through the city. The people who create Scott's villain arc, his relatives, Jessica and Gretchen Duvall, die in the next scene despite Invincible's best efforts.
I've got you, I've got you. Don't move. Don't be scared, okay?
In one of the most brutal scenes of the whole show, Omni-Man drives Invincible through a subway and a train, killing 158 people. Even among the survivors of the previous scene, Omni-Man crushes a civilian just to imprint his cruelty on Invincible. Punching Invincible through everything that he can find, Omni-Man also drives Invincible through a ship where at least 7 people die. Omni-Man did not even stop at mountains, punching Invincible through one, creating an avalanche. Yet another 7 people died in the aftermath, bringing the death toll of Chicago to a total of 2,731. Even in setting up for the next season, more people die. 2 Martians get killed by Sequids, and 2 other aliens get killed by Battle Beast. Turning the page, the first to die in the new season is Immortal. This was set in an alternate universe where everyone's worst nightmare came true, one of which Invincible joined forces with Omni-Man. Immortal tries to find the duo to stop them, but Immortal can't take Omni-Man on his own, let alone along with Invincible. Omni-Man quickly decapitates an injured Immortal whose skull is crushed by the evil Invincible. 2 officers die as a result of the destruction caused by Invincible and Omni-Man.
Look, I didn't get it at first either, but I came around and you will come around too.
In this universe, Invincible is just as cruel as Omni-Man. He and his father blast through a building where at least 7 people die as a result of the ceiling collapsing on them. In a fight that the duo was clearly winning, Robot is the next to be ripped apart by Omni-Man. 5 more civilians died in the fight that ensured. The original Robot, who is still in his tank, is broken and suffocated to death by Omni-Man for opposing him.
You too will die.
Invincible had been training to simply paralyze his opponents for his eventual fight with Eve, the only person he did not want to kill. He failed many times, with at least 12 protesters being killed because of this trick. A lone bone is seen in this next scene, where a lizard proves the improved efficiency of the GDA. Angstrom Levy is finally introduced, but he is still unaware of all the knowledge that the alternate dimensions were going to give him. He worked together with the Muller twins and created a huge machine capable of giving him infinite knowledge.
Transdimensional interconnects are stable.
With his moral compass strong, and not wanting to kill the Invincible we all know and love, he removed his helmet, killing 11 Maulers from alternate universes and more than 1,000 of his own versions. In the next episode, the team goes up against Doc Seismic yet again, who survived his fall into the Earth and made new friends. Magma Knights make their first debut, and one falls to Invincible. Sent to capture Nightboy, Invincible flies into Midnight City. 2 skeletons are seen in this next scene. They were captured by Darkwing, and after he died, they died in the very place they were captured. Nightboy makes his debut and promptly kills a civilian. Invincible visits the city of Atlantis to marry the Queen to make up for Omni-Man killing King Aquarius. To his delight, they had changed that rule. But he finds out then that he needs to fight a beast called the Depth Dweller. Cecil helps by sending missiles down, but it releases the beast from its chain. 5 Atlanteans die as a result. After Invincible banishes the Depth Dweller, the Supreme Lizard takes a bullet to the head after foolishly trying to start a rebellion. As the episode finishes, we cut to Invincible from yet another alternate universe. This one admits that Omni-Man was killed by quantum bombs. The next episode goes further into Viltrum destruction, as seen when 3 Unipans lay dead as the Viltrumites land on their planet. The Unipans are a resilient species. After waiting for a chance, they launch a rebellion against the Viltrumites. But they still underestimated their oppressors, and 28 Unipans die after the rebellion. Escaping their planet, they started breeding camps to ensure that Unipans don't die out. In these camps, they also started experimenting to try for a warrior who was stronger than a Viltrumite. They fail multiple times, as shown by the 4 failed Unopan babies. Alan ends up being their first and only success. He was raised to be a warrior from birth. His abilities are shown through him defeating 2 aliens. You can catch the first one on the monitor. In a cute little dinner date with his lover, Alan eats Canslock, and so do other creatures, with 8 of them adding to the kill count. Viltrumites interrupt the date, demanding answers on what happened to Omni-Man. They rip Alan apart and leave him for dead. Debbie has to be one of the most traumatized characters on the show. Imagine marrying and giving 20 years of your life to a man who considered you no more than a pet. As Debbie stands in the silence of the graveyard with the fake grave for Nolan, 62 other graves are shown. In the next episode, Invincible goes to the planet of the Thraxans, believing they are in great danger. He does not find the meteors he was promised, but a bigger news hits him all the same. He finds Omni-Man, who now has a new family and a desperate request. He is begged for help against the Viltrumite to save his half-brother, and Omni-Man promises to train him in the time they have left. But he was wrong, as the conversation was cut short by the invasion of Vidor and Thula. As Invincible and Omni-Man face the destruction caused by the invasion, they find that 40 Thraxans have died. Omni-Man goes up against Vidor, whose grand finale came courtesy of Nolan after a long fight. Then he goes to save his son, who was fighting Thula, and takes her out by a swift elbow to the jaw. Lucan comes just in time as the duo was celebrating their win, breaking Nolan's spine. He collapses after confirming their mission was successful, still holding his guts in his hands. As the scene shifts from the planet of Thraxia, we come to the Muller twins.
Messy wiring, sloppy welding, obviously the work of a clone.
For the first time, they know who the original is because of the burn from the Angstrom incident. But things are the way they are for a reason. Mullers can't stand knowing who the original is. King Muller learned that the hard way. Though not seen, Empress Andressa and Nuelzad both eventually died off screen as a result of their extremely short lifespans soon after Mark left the planet. Finally seeing Amber again in the next episode, Mark explains everything that happened. When her turn came, Amber brought up her grandfather's death, who she struggled with losing, failing an important test because of it. In a heist that Iguana was involved in, she goes on to claim 2 victims, Jerry and his sergeant. The Guardians of the Globe came to know where Shapesmith really comes from. They finally realized that the real Russ Livingston has been taken as a hostage for the Sequids. Leaving Rex, Kate, and Ray back on Earth to hold the fort down, the rest of the Guardians leave for Mars. 18 Sequids get killed in the battle not started. Rex was wrong when he said that 2 world-shattering crises can't happen at the same time. Duplicate was the first to learn this when she went up against Komodo Dragon. He took out her clones faster than she could make them, and her final 2 clones seen in the scene are crushed together by the giant lizard. Ray, in reaction to Kate's death, kills Salamander by entering his eye and exploding him from within. But when Kate tried to do the same to Komodo Dragon, she was eaten by the ruthless lizard. Rex, seeing both his teammates die, throws his exploding discs at Iguana, slicing her in half. Finally, he goes after Komodo Dragon, who bit off his hand that held one of his exploding discs. This proves to be fatal for the beast as his head explodes. Going back to the battle between the Sequids and the heroes in the next episode, a total of 106 Sequids died in various shots of the fight. King Lizard, who came out of hiding after Komodo Dragon died, shot Rex in the head, believing to have won. But Rex stood up even with a bullet to his head and beat the cowardly lizard to his death. Invincible tracks down his father's comic books and goes to Art. Being Omni-Man's closest friend, he had all of them in storage. The comics had the most powerful weapon by the name of Infinity Ray. Its power is seen when it blasts through 104 aliens in one shot. In yet another comic, Nolan disguised one of his missions as a story. In it, they landed on another planet where Nolan's partner gets ripped apart by a Ragnar. Angstrom makes another cameo at the end of the episode where 14 zombies are seen as he goes through the dimensions. Going on to the next episode, Donald figured out that his body was mostly machine parts.
You rebuilt me, lied to me, took away my agency.
You'd be dead if we didn't.
Cecil finally shows him proof of his death a total of 39 times. A man is also stuck inside a bunker when it explodes with Donald in it. Anissa comes to Earth to convince Invincible to capture Earth. He tries to resist, but when he sees that Anissa doesn't want humans to die, he invites her to save a ship that was being attacked. The civilian death toll adds 2 more when we see Kaiju attack the ship. Anissa keeps to her word, killing Kaiju by directly flying through the beast. In the next episode, Omni-Man is alive, but is kept captive by the Viltrumites. He kills 10 robots when they were sent to kill him. 4 aliens are also killed by Omni-Man in the same scene. Coming back to Earth, Angstrom takes his anger out on the Invincible, who never became evil. When told that he became a freak while trying to save Invincible, he remembers the information from the alternate universes. Angstrom Levy Jr. and his pet Chainsaw get killed in a painful scene by an evil Invincible in one such dimension. Continuing the evil Invincible line, 4 civilians die along with Angstrom Levy's wife in yet another alternate dimension. Flipping through another dimension, 6 more civilians and 3 officers die at the hands of Cop Slayer Invincible. In the next shot, Executioner Invincible casually kills 8 prisoners. Angstrom sends Invincible through one of his portals to the world that was seen at the end of episode 6. 10 more zombies from this world make an appearance. As one of the bloodiest scenes, with blood covering the whole of Invincible and the surroundings, Mark loses control and beats Angstrom Levy to death. As a final end to season 2, adding to the deaths for food, Immortal is seen bringing in 3 fishes into his cabin. He finds Kate to be alive and reunites with her. In the new season, the heroes go up against Doc Seismic yet again, where 3 more of his Magma Knights friends die in the fight. In the midst of the chaotic battle, Invincible found himself killing another Reaniman, believing them to still be evil. 8 more Magma Knights and 2 spider creatures die at various shots of the fight. The next episode opens with Cecil's backstory. In the fish story at the market in the flashback, 10 fishes are shown to be souls. 17 civilians are said to be melted to Earth by the poisonous gas released by Force Fist and Knuckle Blaster.
Some of the gas drifted into the market before we could get it contained. 17, a fraction of what it would have been.
Komodo Dragon makes yet another appearance, adding another 3 guards to his kill count. Right after knocking out Komodo Dragon, in a moment that mirrored Invincible killing the Reaniman, Force Fist and Knucklebuster are both taken out by Cecil. Cecil is sent to prison for shooting them, where 2 inmates are shown to have been killed in the prison by other inmates. Cecil has a whole army of Reaniman to protect him from Invincible if he ever goes evil. Getting angry, Invincible kills 24 Reaniman. Continuing the flashback, we see the first time Cecil ever met Omni-Man. His first act of goodwill when he landed on Earth was killing an alien. In the next episode, in yet another heist, 8 officers die when they go up against Kursk. Up next on the list, Officer Nace says that lightning never strikes twice in the same place to Tanya when she's scared to stand in the same place she cleaned up after the Lizard League. Before he could even finish the sentence, the Maulers blast in. They take the 2 officers out by firing a gun on their faces. Once they were in, the Maulers killed 3 other officers that tried to stop them. Oliver believed that the Mauler twins must be stopped, and the only way to do that is by killing them. So he punches through them, making him the youngest killer on the show. When Mark found a camera watching his home, he immediately believed that the GDA was spying on him again. 5 Reanimen are killed by Invincible when he breaks in to get answers. Fightmaster and Dropkick come to Mark's dimension to request his help to save their planet. In this alternate future where there's a dictator rule, 8 civilians died in the flashback as a part of the rebellion. Understanding the situation now, Invincible agreed to help. He then punched through 3 royal guards while trying to get to the king. When Fightmaster and Dropkick are captured, they both pick off a royal guard each. Immortal, who is shown to be the dictator in this dimension, begs Invincible to kill him because he is not fit to be king. When he fights Invincible for refusing, Mark ends up fulfilling his wish even though he didn't want to do it. Cutting to Omni-Man and Alan, now both captured by the Viltrumites, become close. As a testament to Alan's strength, 4 guards die while trying to execute Alan, after which they stop trying to kill him. Alan finally stages a prison break when Nolan is taken to be executed. 2 guards and 13 inmates died when he released other inmates on the guards. He also releases Battle Beast, who by this time is lusting after blood like a hungry vampire. 34 more guards meet their end at the hands of Alan and Battle Beast. Alan finally finds Nolan right on time. Nolan's torturers meet their end when Omni-Man and Alan crush the skull of one and the other dies at the hands of Battle Beast. 9 officers get killed by Multipol when he tries to clone himself as a prison break plan. When Mr. Leo attacks the prison for Multipol, 9 inmates, who are just trying to enjoy their yard time, get absolutely crushed by him in dragon form. In a twist of events, Machine Head shows up. Using Isotope to get rid of Mr. Leo's bodyguard, he kills Mr. Leo off screen, just in time to save Invincible from the dragon. In the next episode, Scott became Powerplex to avenge his dead relatives, who he believes was killed because of Invincible. Once he realized that he was not being taken seriously, he staged a hostage situation with his own wife and child. In a moment that took a sharp turn, Scott, who was trying to kill Invincible, roasted Becky and Jack Duval, ending his family with his own powers. In the new episode, when Angstrom Levy is revived, he unleashes multiple Invincibles from alternate universes on Earth. One of them finds their way to Cecil, who uses Reaniman against him. They manage to kill that Invincible as seen in this shot, but the fight was not without casualties. 6 Reaniman are seen killed from their fight. Rex, after telling Bulletproof to save Rudy and Amanda, takes on one of the Invincibles on his own. At the height of his chapter arc and love story with Kate, where he wanted to retire from superheroism, he dies by exploding himself to kill Invincible from an alternate dimension. In the montage that follows at the end of the fight, 2 superheroes and an Invincible are seen dead. Civilian casualties are shown even till the next episode, with 4 of them in body bags and 39 others. As the season comes to a close, Conquest is the final character to be defeated. He triggered the worst side of Invincible when he killed Eve, which sent Mark on a rage run. Despite missing limbs, Mark kills Conquest by headbutting him to a mush, with no character being, did we miss anyone? And if you enjoyed this video, then take a look at the video on the screen where we go over every problem with Invincible.